So basically, what happened was he stuck with Lugo. Lugo gave up a 3-run bomb. He wasn't sure if Diaz could get the 5 outs. He was in an ornery mood. I get it. And there was a confrontation, I'll put quotes around that, in the clubhouse following the game. Now, there was no cameras rolling on this. There were cameras back in the day when Bobby Bonilla got into it. Only the Mets can do stuff like this. The same Mets organization that fired Willie Randolph, fired him after he flew out 3,000 miles to Anaheim, California. They told him at 2:30 in the morning, oh, yeah, by the way, Willie, you're fired. I mean, there's just certain franchises that do things well, and there's certain franchises that don't. And there's certain franchises that are inherently smart and classy and perceptive. And there are certain franchises that are not. And guess which category the Mets fall into? The not category. But I want to say this because I think Mickey Callaway, because it's the Mets and because they've made a litany of mistakes over the years, and it's incredibly well documented. I love David Cohn, but I mean, Coney in the bullpen, doing that situation. Brett Saberhagen firing bleach at reporters. Vince Coleman throwing a firecracker. I mean, they're just a clown show all these years, the Mets. Clown show. I'm not going to be lazy, and I'm not going to lump in what happened yesterday. I'm not going to overreact. Yesterday was benign. What the hell really happened yesterday? Oh, my God. A manager dropped the F-bomb. Oh, no. Fire him. Suspend him. Send him to rehab. He's morally corrupt. He dropped an F-bomb at another grown man. We can't have this in 2019. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Mickey Callaway. Now, let me also be abundantly clear when I say this. Mickey Callaway is not a very good manager. I don't think that he is. But I think that Mickey Callaway is a very decent person, a good man, and a good baseball man. Probably in the wrong city, probably in the wrong league, and probably in the wrong position. I don't think he's a manager yet, even though he is one. You know what I mean? I think it was too big of a transition to go from a pitching coach in the American League when there's no double switches and just the nuance of the game is different to all of a sudden managing in New York with all the intangibles that the National League present. All right. So I could have very easily started this show and turned this into, oh, my God, Mickey's got to go. Jason, the one guy who should know better, I probably should, Jason Vargas has to know better. Relax, Jason. Take it easy. There's a couple of reporters that I know, and one of them's an old school guy, Wally Matthews, who I love. And if you're a big boxing fan, you know Wally. If you ever pulled that, I used to work with Wally back in the day. If you ever pulled that nonsense with Wally would have confronted him, and Wally would have knocked him down. I mean, there's certain guys. I don't know what is his name? Healy? What, Mike? What Healy? Right from Newsday. I'm not immersed in the day-to-day local scene. I'm a national host. I really don't read Newsday, quite frankly. I don't have any need to. From what I've deduced, and I did certainly check in FAN earlier, and even people who do this daily, they don't really know much about him because he's relatively new to the scene in this aspect. But those who do know him vouch for him being a very decent guy. So the root of this issue, apparently, is he said, "I'll see you tomorrow" to Mickey Callaway. This was after, Mickey, tough loss. I get it. 3-run bomb. No question. Yeah. Tough loss. No question. But I thought everything kind of simmered down. And then when Mickey was leaving, this reporter said, "I'll see you tomorrow." Now, some took that as, and I'm going to give the reporter the benefit of the doubt, as I'm giving Mickey for just having a bad day. Mickey shouldn't be fined or penalized or apologize. Give me a break. He didn't do anything wrong. Again, Vargas is a little different. He should know better. Lunging at a reporter. Give me a break. But the reporter, in the eyes of some, again, which I don't agree with, it was a way of him saying, "Hey, I'll see you tomorrow. I don't know if you'll be here tomorrow because you just got your pitching coach fired, And I think we were all smart enough to know that you're next. And again, I'm just, deducing, connecting dots. These are the storylines with the Mets. I don't think it was said in a flippant, arrogant, condescending, derisive way. I just don't. And if he said it that way, then maybe he deserved to get stepped to. Maybe. I don't think he's that kind of guy. Because people who really know him vouch for his character. And, I trust those people who were speaking about this gentleman. So what does this really mean? I don't think it's that big of a deal. I really don't. Mike, you're in New York. Did I miss something here?
Well, I think you have it more closely with the Vargas thing, right? I think the problem is when you're a manager and you're the leader of men and you act this way towards a reporter and then one of your players lashes out and has to be restrained and held back from attacking the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Had he just said MFer or called him whatever he called him, Callaway?
Well, that's all he did. Vargas's actions are separate.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Had that been the only thing, no one would have cared.
Mm-hmm.
It's because Vargas went after him. Now it makes Callaway look like he, I don't want to say instigated.
Well, like he lit the match and it kind of lit the tensions. But that's not fair.
Well,
I know what you're saying.
When you're the manager, it's your job to control your players to an extent. And if they're going to feel like they have a free reign. Now,
what the latitude of like you're talking about a culture, like it's a culture to feel the freedom to do that.
Yes.
You want to drop that on even in a very passive way, drop that on Callaway's doorstep.
I mean, generally speaking, when whether it's a college coach, we talk about his program, whether he had any knowledge of certain things, we say you should have.
Mm-hmm.
When you're a professional manager, you're managing egos and you're managing millionaires and adult men, and you kind of have to know how to control them. And by doing it the first time, MFing the guy the first time, fine. To come back afterwards and do it again and get him out of here, what you're doing is you're instigating your guys to be pissed off at this. He's not an old guy. He's a kid, I think.
Yeah.
Probably 20s, maybe 30s.
He's young.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you're kind of nudging your guys, maybe not to lunge at him, but to certainly take action in some other way.
Oh.